There are moments when silence feels heavier than noise. You pray, you wait, and nothing seems to answer. Not because God is absent, but because something deeper is unfolding within you. When everything feels quiet, the heart begins to listen in a different way. This video is not here to rush that silence or to fill it with explanations. It is here to help you stay, to breathe, and to discover that even when you feel unheard, you are still held, seen, and gently guided by a presence that never truly leaves. Many people believe that God speaks only through clear answers or visible signs, but often His voice arrives as stillness. In that stillness, your fears surface, your doubts speak louder, and your soul feels exposed. This does not mean you are failing in faith. It means you are being invited to trust beyond understanding. Silence is not rejection. It is a space where your heart learns to rest without guarantees, to remain open without control, and to grow roots deeper than words can reach. When God seems silent, the mind tries to fill the gap with explanations, worries, and imagined outcomes. Yet silence is not empty. It is full of presence. In the quiet, God is not absent. He is near in a way that cannot be proven, only felt. This is where faith matures, not by receiving answers, but by remaining connected even when nothing is resolved. Silence teaches the heart to listen deeper than sound, and to recognize peace without reassurance. There are moments when prayer feels like speaking into the air, as if your words rise and return unanswered. Yet even then, something within you remains awake, still reaching, still trusting. This quiet persistence is not weakness. It is strength forming beneath the surface. God's silence often creates space, allowing the soul to grow roots that do not depend on immediate comfort, but on a deeper knowing that presence does not disappear simply because it cannot be felt. When God seems silent, the mind often fills the space with doubt, memories, and unanswered questions. But silence is not absence, it is a different language. Just as seeds grow in darkness, faith matures in moments when nothing appears to move. In these seasons, trust is no longer an idea but an inner posture. You remain, not because everything is clear, but because something within you knows that love does not abandon, even when words fall away. There is a quiet strength that forms when you stop demanding immediate answers. It is the strength of staying open while the heart waits. God's silence often invites you to rest deeper than understanding, beyond control. In that stillness, something shifts inside you. Fear loosens its grip. The need to explain everything softens. What remains is a gentle awareness that you are being held, even when you cannot hear a voice guiding your steps. When you remain present in the silence, you begin to notice a subtle change within. What once felt like abandonment slowly reveals itself as preparation. God is not absent in these moments. He is working beneath the surface, shaping patience, trust, and inner stability. The heart learns to stand without constant reassurance. Faith matures not through noise, but through quiet endurance. And in this space, your soul grows stronger than fear ever was. Silence does not mean distance. Often it is the space where God invites you to listen more deeply. When words disappear, awareness awakens. You begin to sense guidance not as instructions, but as calm direction within. This is where fear loosens its grip, because trust no longer depends on immediate answers. The soul starts to rest, knowing it is held even when nothing is explained. In this quiet space, something shifts inside you. You stop demanding signs and start noticing presence. Faith matures here, not through certainty but through surrender. You realize that God is not absent from your struggle, but deeply present within it. What felt like abandonment becomes an invitation to grow roots deeper than fear. Trust is no longer an effort. It becomes a gentle state of being. When you accept that God's silence is not rejection, your heart softens. You begin to listen differently, not with urgency, but with openness. In this stillness, faith becomes less about answers and more about relationship. You discover that even without words, God is shaping your inner world, strengthening you quietly, preparing you to stand with peace where once there was fear. There are moments when the silence of God invites you to mature in faith. Not everything is explained, not every question is answered, yet something deeper begins to grow within you. Trust stops depending on circumstances and starts becoming a decision of the heart. In this space, you're no longer seeking signs outside because something steady is being formed inside you, slowly, faithfully, without noise. When God seems silent, it is not because he is absent, but because he is working beyond what you can see. Silence is often the place where roots grow deeper. While the mind looks for words, the soul learns to rest. Here, faith is purified, no longer sustained by emotion, but by quiet surrender. In this stillness, your heart is being prepared to recognize God not only in answers, but in presence itself. There is a sacred transformation that happens when you stop demanding explanations and begin trusting the process. In that shift, fear slowly loosens its grip, and faith becomes less about certainty and more about relationship. God's silence invites you to walk without guarantees, yet never without guidance. Each unseen step strengthens your inner ground, teaching you that even without answers, you are still being faithfully held. When you choose to trust in moments of uncertainty, something quiet but powerful unfolds within you. Your heart learns to rest without control, and your spirit becomes more receptive to grace. Trust does not erase difficulties, but it transforms how you walk through them. In this surrender, God reshapes your strength from resistance into peace, allowing you to move forward without fear, supported by a presence that never leaves. There is a deep freedom that comes when you stop demanding immediate answers and allow God to work beyond your understanding. Faith grows strongest not when everything is clear, but when you remain open in the unknown. In these moments, trust becomes a quiet decision repeated each day. You learn that God's guidance often unfolds gently, shaping your path step by step, even when you cannot yet see where it leads. When you continue walking without certainty, something changes within you. The heart becomes less restless, and the need for control slowly loosens its grip. You begin to notice small signs of grace that were always present but easy to miss. God does not rush this process. He allows trust to grow naturally, like roots deepening underground, unseen but strong, preparing you to stand firm when the next storm arrives. There comes a moment when silence no longer feels empty. What once seemed like distance begins to reveal itself as presence. In that quiet space, your thoughts slow down and your spirit learns to listen differently. Faith matures here, not through answers, but through surrender. You realize that God's closeness is not measured by feelings, but by the steady peace that remains even when nothing around you makes sense. In this stillness, something within you softens. The need to understand everything loosens its grip, and trust begins to take its place. You stop demanding signs and start resting in what already is. God's presence does not rush or force itself upon you. It waits patiently, allowing your heart to open at its own pace. And in that gentle waiting, fear slowly fades, replaced by a quiet certainty that you are held, guided, and never abandoned. What changes you most is not the answer you receive, but the space you enter when you listen. In that space, your pain is not rejected, your questions are not judged, and your weakness is not exposed. You discover that God is not distant when He is silent. He is closer than ever, shaping your inner strength, teaching your heart to stand without fear, and preparing you to trust beyond what you can see or explain. So remain here for a moment longer. Let this quiet trust settle deeply within you. You do not need to rush forward or carry tomorrow's weight today. God walks with you step by step, even when the path feels unclear. What matters is not hearing everything explained, but knowing you are not alone. From this place of calm assurance, you can move on gently, carrying a faith that does not depend on noise, but on a presence that never leaves.